Ladies and gentlemen of the Board of Supervisors, I don't envy your position at all. I did want to address Supervisor Joel Anderson just because I've been in your office when you were up at the State Senate.
Sir, if you can please state your name for the audio record.
Oh, sorry. My name is Dr. Stanton Hom. I am a prenatal and pediatric chiropractor at Future Generations Clinic of Chiropractic. Set. Am I good? And so, Mr. Anderson, I don't know if you remember the hallways with SB 277 and SB 276. We have 119 people that want to speak today about these specific issues that what we see in our county is consistent elevation of, some people call safety, some people call responsibility, many of us call it tyranny. Nathan Fletcher, you're a former Marine. You've served this country in defense of the Constitution, and you hold a position that's very key at this stage that is actually an oath to support and defend the Constitution. For me, I had two members of my community come speak because these are things that aren't heard. When you see a mother cry about how this operation, whatever you want to call it, has affected her kids and her families and stands boldly against, because we know what's coming next, right? We know what's coming next in terms of vaccine passports. We know what's coming next as far as like, your kind is welcome in the store, your kind is not welcome in the store, right? In a sense that my family emigrated from this country 3 generations ago. They chose California. They fled communist China from 2 different countries, China and Taiwan. And here I am today with my child who will never listen to any of these guidelines or whatever it is that you're actually doing, and she will actually be a second-class citizen. And so at the end of the day, when we have a child speak and talks about how this entire process has affected her life, I hope you guys are listening. Prior to this, 18 months, do you guys know the rate of chronic illness in kids? 54%. Do you know the rate of learning disorders in kids? 1 in 6. Do you know the rate of special needs requirements in kids? 1 in 4. And talk to any educator, talk to any doctor, talk to any parent, talk to any counselor, talk to any school psychologist, OTs, PTs, speech pathologists, and they tell you that it's rising. That was before. That was normalized before. In fact, by the medical community, they would say, that's just normal. They'll grow out of it. But what we have with our kids today, whether it's masks or mandatory quote-unquote vaccines, which will probably come next, or the vaccine passport, or distancing, or isolation, or whatever you want to call it, is what we are programming children in this generation and foreseeable future generations to believe, which is a lie, Dr. Wooten, that their healthy, asymptomatic bodies can harm or kill their friends or family or anybody unknowingly. I need you to sit with that and recognize that that's today. I've been taking care of families in this community for 11 years, and I've seen this amplification of chronic illness in our children that no one has recourse, no one can reconcile today. But they come to our office and we see this shift in their trajectory, we see their systems heal, and I ask you this question, with a 99.998 survival rate with our kids, with no known cure, how do they do it? With 11,546 adjustments last year in my office, without any mandates, any playing by any of your rules, illegal rules, by the way, EUA products cannot be mandated, and a 1,000-person event in December and a 1,500-person event without any deaths or cases, these numbers that you're showing are just to forward the fear, just to forward the narrative. There never lists any mild cases. There's never any list for asymptomatic cases. There's not any list for how many people recovered, because you only want to see one side. and then you forward your agenda as we go. And so when it comes down to this moment in time, I care about the children before this all happened, and I care about the children today, but I care about them when they're raising their families in 10 and 20 years. And the level of tyranny, the level of oppression, the level of psychological operations that's been normalized, in fact, paraded and celebrated by even our mayor, saying that he's going to give a mayoral proclamation to any business that allows for vaccine passports. Mr. Anderson, the hallway and the number of speakers is just like SB 277, just like SB 276. I was at the Capitol when 2,500 to 3,000 people marched in and weren't allowed to speak their case, which is why we put a group up here. But at the end of the day, what we know is that on your end, it's rigged. You know what you're going to vote in. And what I will tell you that, Mr. Fletcher, please look at me on this one. These children in 10, 20, and 30 years will continue to procreate and raise their children with a belief system that their healthy bodies will harm or kill someone else. And who's going to take account for the rises in suicides? Who knows those numbers? Who's going to put those up? Who's going to talk about the rise in mental health? Who's going to talk about the rise in chronic illness? We had another supervisor that was here saying that her child has a known speech delay, and she said for the collective good that she's going to vote this in anyways. What I'll tell you is that I wish she came to my office. I wish I could tell her that the 99.998 survival rate of kids, if they get it, is how they're made. That the fact that we can, like there's several of you in masks and there's several of you that aren't in masks. What the hell is that about? How the hell, does anybody not reconcile that? And so at this point, I implore you to consider whether it's passports, whether it's mandatory illegal vaccines, there are 0 long-term inert placebo-controlled trials for any vaccine, let alone this one, or it's distancing lockdowns, or it's masks. Let's end the theater and save the kids.